Valde, good morning, Rabbi Sai. How's everybody doing? Today's shir, Lili Nishmas, Imi, Ruspas Mordechai. Is there a reason why I don't hear anybody? Okay. Everybody's muted. Givaldik. Today's shir, sponsored by Avi Agai, I think. Agai. The Refuah Shlema for Edward Ben Suzette. Okay. Also good. And sponsored by Jeffrey Haskell. Does anybody have Jewish names here? Rabbi Sai, what's going on here? Mark, you have a Jewish name? Shem Yerachem. Jeffrey Haskell, for the 30th yard side of my father, Chaim ben David. Oh! He was a Jew, Chaim ben David. May his neshama have an aliyah. Listen to this. I like this one. He wrote, this is for the Eli neshama of my father, Herb Haskell. Oh, he also, Chas Hashem to call him. Herb Haskell, Chaim ben David, on his 30th yard side. I owe my Torah learning to my father, who sacrificed a great deal to provide me with a Torah education that he never had in his striving to pass on the Messiah. Kitzer, he strived to pass on the Messiah, so thanks, Jeff Haskell. It's not personal, it's just in general, like everybody with the, we got to do a change here. We're going to start changing names. Be'ez Hashem, Kalman, I don't even know what his original name was, but he changed it. Baruch Hashem. Real quickly, by the way, two people flew into Chicago to be Menachem Avel, the Hildesheim. One of them came to my house, and unfortunately I missed him. That was really Rothstein. The second person came today, and I met him. You guys probably remember him from the video. You remember the guys from Texas, and they pointed on a map. This is where Texas is. Givaldik happens to be. I didn't realize. The guy's a regular yeshivish guy. He learned in Koil for 5 years. He just fell in Texas over there. His name is Shmuley Hershkovitz. So he came to visit me, and he gave me a lot of chizuk because he was telling me about his struggles that everybody has. He fell off the bandwagon. In Shabbos, he missed X amount of daf. He got all depressed. He said, forget about it. But he realized that as soon as he jumped back on, in the middle of Eruvin, in the middle of nowhere, everything in his life changed. He just became a better person. His davening was better. Everything. He's a better husband, etc. I'm hoping one day he'll send me an email. But it was a tremendous chizuk, and I'm also off the bandwagon right now. I'm not doing the 8-minute daf. I have excuses. I'm on vacation. I'm in America. We got to jump on. Eventually, I'll get back on it. It's a shtickle depressing. I shouldn't say depressing. It's not a good word, but it's hurtful. You do this to yourself, but everybody falls, and you get back up, and you keep on going. So it's not if, it's when it's going to happen, because it's going to happen in the 7.5 years. So you miss a 7 daf here, 20 daf there, a whole mesechta. It doesn't matter. You just jump back on because every daf is new musagim, new everything. Why just wait until the next cycle? You just jump on. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll have a little hole in the 8-minute daf. We go weiter. Here's a real quick email from Yossi Klein, the famous Yossi Klein.
The rule is you go back.
No.
You don't catch up. You can start from today, but go back and complete it.
That's your rule. That's in the night shir at night. So those who go to Menachem Ateh, they continue from today and they catch up. We don't catch up. It's usher. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, if you catch up, it's great. But don't put the pressure on about catching up. That's what I'm saying. Think about today. Think about tomorrow. Think about the future. What happened in the past. Listen, halavai should be able to catch up on my 8-minute daf. It's probably not going to happen. I have to face the reality. I could barely do 1 daf a day, so how am I going to do 2? Yes, there's time, Shabbosim, you can catch up a daf here, a daf there, but don't go crazy over it. That's what I'm saying. Just continue, go weiter, pound on, pound. Another Masechta. What happened yesterday? You missed Shabbos? No. Either you make it up or you won't make it up. If you make it up, great. But don't focus on it. That's what I'm saying. All right, says the email, Azoy, hi Rebelli, I just wanted to tell you, it's difficult for me to read. I'm going to read it. It's a little bit in English and a little bit in Yinglish and Yiddish. Hi Rebelli, I just want to tell you what makes MDY creating a small world. After Bekitzer, he's saying we're a small world. After getting so many calls and messages from all over the world, from London, etc., from the Ami interview, one that hit me the most was a call yesterday from Shlomi Klein from Crown Heights, which turns out he recognized my father's grocery name in the interview. The story goes back to 1996. My father was involved in helping a woman her husband died suddenly. Kitzer, he gave her $6,000 from his pocket so she shouldn't be betzar, which was very hard financially for him then. And to the point, what happened was he gave the money, listen, it's a small world, he gave the money to Shlomi Klein, who was running the produce company. Kitzer, I guess Shlomi Klein was the shliach to give her the money. So the worlds collided. Shlomi Klein realized that Yossi Klein is the son of that tzaddik, the father of Yossi Klein, who gave the money, even though he didn't have the money, to help out this almana. Bekitzer, by joining MDY, you get the worldwide connection. Let's hope to connect more people through the fire of Torah thinks. Okay. Now he says, in parentheses, now I know why you almost confused us last week, because last week Shlomi Klein and Yossi Klein, they were off by a day in terms of they both sponsored days, and I called Yossi Klein, Shlomi Klein, something like that. So he's saying, no, the Be'etzem have a tremendous connection, a lot more than we ever knew. Boisai, it's only about 15 charts for today, very geschmack stuff. I'll call this sugya shoots and ladders. I have no idea why the shoots, but it's a bunch of ladders. Geschmack stuff, especially for people like Yossi Klein and Shia Greenfield, people that use ladders, Yom and Valayla. This is the sugya. So we're holding the last line on Daf Ayin Zayin Amud Beis. Today's Daf Ayin Ches. Ve'omar Rav Nachman Omar Rav Bar Avuah. Ziz hayoytze min hakoisel. If you have a ledge that comes out of a wall. Now, we're discussing right now, how do you make a wall that's 10 tefachim, more than 10 tefachim, lower than 10 tefachim, that you can use the top of the wall? There's another usage called an eruv. How do you go over the wall? You pretend that the wall doesn't exist so that I can make an eruv with the chutzner on the other side. But we're not discussing that yet. Now we're discussing how do I go and how can I use the tall wall. Like we said yesterday, if one chutzner is higher up, closer to the top of the wall, he gets to use the top of the wall. The guy that's further away, he's lower down, he doesn't get So I want to use this wall. What do I do? So I put a ledge. So what kind of ledge? Ziz hayoytze min hakoisel dalid al dalid. V'niach olav sulam kolshu. Of course, there's a picture. And of course, the pictures are not in order yet. Oy vavoy. What happened? Sure. I think the cat came and moved it. Okay, here. So you have a ledge. V'niach olav sulam kolshu mi'atoy. Now, the sulam has to have a width of 4 tefachim, but it doesn't. So he takes some sort of ladder, and he places the ladder on the ledge. So now they become one. Now the ladder is near the ground, within 3 tefachim of the ground. And Memela, together with the ladder, they act as one. The ledge is the 4 tefachim. Now we have like 4 tefachim attached to the ground, sort of, and here's your miut of the wall. I just reduced the wall. It's only in this case right over here where the ladder is leaning up against the ledge, because now the ledge and the ladder are one. However, if you put the ladder side by side to the ledge, they're not touching each other, all you're doing is you're making the ledge wider, but you're not attaching the ledge to the ladder, and the ledge attached to the ladder and the ladder attached to the ground become one platform, and that creates a reduction, and you reduce the size of the wall. Another halacha. Now I have a wall that's 19 tefachim. All you need is one ledge in middle of the wall, together, of course, with a ladder, and that's it. But what if the wall is 20? Now, one ledge in the middle is not enough because you have to have within 10 tefachim the top of the wall, within 10 tefachim of the bottom of the wall, of the ground. So what do? So, sarach shnei zizim latiro, you need 2 ledges. So it's going to look something like, well, here, let's just show the first one. You know, we got to go away from these papers. We have to go all digital, it'll be a lot better. If the ledge is smack in the middle of 19 tefachim, you put the ledge right in the middle, 9.5 tefachim say, so you have 9.5 tefachim from it to the ground, 9.5 tefachim to the top, great. But if that doesn't work out, if it's a little bit more than that, so now I need 2 ledges. What do? 1 ledge here, 1 ledge here, ladder, and I'm good. However, the ledges cannot be directly underneath each other because it'll be very difficult to climb up from ledge to ledge. You have to make like a staircase, like going on into MDY. It's problematic to get it in a way where it's inconvenient to climb. So here it is. They're offset from each other, and therefore the ladders, and everybody could climb easily, and we'll see that that's how you do it. If it's very difficult to climb, it's not a good reduction of the wall. They cannot be underneath each other, directly one above each other, because it'll be very, very difficult to climb. It'll be a pure vertical, and it'll be very difficult. Omer Rav Huna, Amud Beis gavaya soro v'rochov arba. If you have a beam in the middle of Rishus Harabim that's 10 tefachim tall and 4 tefachim wide, what do we call that? Rishus hayachid v'noatz bo yosid kol shuhu. And you take, so the top of the beam is a Rishus hayachid. How? It's 4x4. I could put a pot of soup on top of it. However, noatz bo yosid kol shuhu. But what if I bang a nail into it? I just reduced the surface size of the 4x4, and I also made it impossible to use, because if I'm going to take a pot of soup and put it down on top of that flat surface, it's no longer flat, my soup is going to spill over. So therefore, miatoy, it's considered as if you have less than a rishus hayachid. That's because, let's see the picture here. Here's your 4x4 beam, 10 tefachim tall. You put a little spike on the top, spoke, whatever you want to call it. Now, if that spoke is 3 tefachim tall, says the Gemara, that's a problem. Here's another picture, not necessary, but why not? The only difference is this guy's slightly shorter. Even if it's less than 3, it ruins it. It took away from the 4x4 surface. How are you going to put a chalm pot on top of this thing right over here? You can't put anything. You can't put your luggage on it. This guy is sticking out. Says the Gemara, even if it's 3 tvachim tall, there was a picture, but I think we had enough pictures. The picture in Kol HaLashon of a guy hanging a little pocketbook on top of that little spoke. Great. I think we could picture it in our head. What if, I guess you could picture this as well, but it's just cool. What if it's full of spikes? It's just full of it. Now what? Are you going to also say you could still use it for something? What? You don't know the halacha? It says, now listen to this. Tell me what the pshat is. I broke my head here to understand pshat, and I'm going to give it to you for free. You could look in Rashi, you could look in the Art Scroll, you could look in the Mesifta. It wasn't clear to me. And I'll tell you what happened. I decided it's an old trick. I'm telling you a great trick. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Klal Yisrael an unbelievable gift in the last 100 years. You know, it's called Mishnah Brura. Greatest sefer in the world. We're used to it, we just learned halacha. But the way the Chavetz Chaim learned the sugya, sometimes if you go into the Mishnah Brura and you just learn 1 or 2 halachas, you'll see he learned a little knech, and it helped me tremendously, what he said over there. He says, he brings a raya. Bar v'chuyasa mitztarfin la'asara. Okay, here's a picture. We understand the case. How does it help us though? A guy dug a pit, and with the shovel you're taking out the dirt, and the dirt creates a little rim around the pit. Now, if the pit itself, we had this in Masechta Shabbos, the pit itself, let's say, is 7 tfachim, and then all the dirt is 3 tfachim, together you have 10 tfachim. Great. Now, Rabbi Yochanan is medayik, Rashi brings this down, he's medayik. Why does it say bar v'chulyasa? It should say a bar, which is 10 tfachim deep, and let's say a sela, a rock that's 10 tfachim tall. Why does the Mishnah over there combine a bar and a chulya? To teach us that they combine together. That you could take, let's say, 7 tfachim of a pit plus 3 tfachim of dirt on top. Now, what does this have to do with a beam that has a bunch of spokes on top of it? Says the Gemara, V'amai, why is it mitztaref? Haloi mishtamish lei. He's not using it. Elamai islach lemeimar, the manach midi mishtamish. He's going to put a piece of plywood on top of it, and he's going to use it. Achanami the manach midi mishtamish. So too, we have a beam full of spokes, spikes. You're going to take something, put a piece of garment on top of it, you're going to take a piece of plywood, and then you can use it. Now, what does this have to do with our sugya? I didn't understand it. I knew I was missing something. And the pshat is very, very simple. The pshat is that we're not talking about the height. What's confusing is, especially if you look over here, but they had another picture as well. The 7 plus 3, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the width. Rashi's of the opinion that even if the bar itself doesn't have 4 tfachim width, but if the chulya on top has 4 tfachim width, it turns into Rishus HaYachid. Now the question is, it's not a regular pit now. Part of the pit has 3 tfachim by 3 tfachim on the bottom, let's say. The top part has 4 by 4. So where do you have Rishus HaYachid, asks the Gemara? How do you have Rishus HaYachid? You can't use the bottom of the pit for Rishus HaYachid. Down there, it's 3 by 3. Elamai on top. Top and bottom don't. All the Rishonim say in Rashi that Rashi agrees that when you go down into the pit, it's not a Rishus HaYachid. Only on top it's a Rishus HaYachid. So that's what the Gemara is asking. How do I make it into, how could I use it? I can't use the pit. The only way I could use the top part is if I put something on top of it. Now if I put something on top of it, now this becomes Rishus HaYachid. That's a whole different svara now. So now in our sugya, you take this beam that has a bunch of spokes on top, a bunch of pieces of metal. How do if I take a piece of plywood and put it on top of everything else, now I have a new Rishus HaYachid. That's the same kind of svara. Now everything makes sense. Beautiful. I guess if you want, you could kind of find it in Rashi. Rashi says, just like we know that the 7 and the 3 are mitzdarif to 10 tfachim in the height, shamina mina nami the mitzdarif in lepusya. So we also know that the mitzdarif to the width. Okay, it didn't do much for me. I couldn't understand it. You guys understand it, great. But when I saw like one word, you can find in the first page of Chelik Dalet in the Mishnah Brura in Siman Shin Mem Hey in Sifkat and Gimel, just one little knage, and then it all made sense. Omer Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Yeah, maskim? No, Michap? It's good. Omer Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Says Shmuel, Kaisel Asara Tzorach Sulam Arba Asal Atirah. Okay, so this, people are going to start arguing with Rashi, but Tosfos already was before you. Basically, Rashi's of the opinion that if you move your ladder, this is a very nice picture. I like it because it has like 4 boxes on the bottom to show you the 4 tfachim. So if you want to get to 10 tfachim height on a ladder, and you're going to have your ladder on an incline, it's going to be a lachsoin. It's not going to be straight up, because normal people walk up ladders when there's in a little bit of it's easier to climb up a ladder. So how much do you have to distance the bottom? 4 tfachim. That means your ladder needs to be 14 tfachim. Now if you do the math, it probably doesn't work out exactly like Rashi says. That's what Tosfos has a problem with. Tosfos says it makes a lot more sense if you move the ladder 10 tfachim away from the wall, 14 tfachim will actually get to the top. Because of the whole cheshbon that we had two days ago. When was it? 2 days ago? Kol ama Kol amso balachsoina is 1 2/5. 1 amma straight. If you go from the diagonal is 1 2/5. Okay, so 1 2/5 actually equals 10. Whatever, shine. The point is that according to Rashi, a 14 amma ladder will reach exactly the top of the wall. If you pull it away 4 tefachim from the bottom, how many?
14 tefachim, not 14 amma.
Oh, yeah, 14 tefachim, that's what I meant. I said amma, okay, sorry. But Yishkoyach, way to go, Menachem. Welcome back.
You asked for it yesterday. You're going to get it.
I want it. I was serious. But not those. Those are the baby ones. I didn't really mean 14 amma. Okay, 14 tefachim. So you take the 4 tefachim plus the 10 tefachim. 4 tefachim because you have to move it away from the wall. 4 tefachim plus the ladder is 10 tefachim. Total of 14 tefachim. Rabbi Yosef Amar afilu shloisha asur mashu. It could be 1 tefach away from the top of the wall. You don't have to go exactly to the top. Abaye Amar afilu achad asur mashu. Abaye is of the opinion you have lavud. So if it gets to 3 tefachim to the top of the wall, like right over here, this picture, you're still okay. Even if it's 7, as we're going to see in a second, and it's vertical. Because 7 plus 3 is 10. But vertical. Now it's very difficult to climb up a vertical. So that's the chiddush. 7 is also okay. Omar Rav, here we go. Sulam zakuf, if it's completely vertical, mimayet. And that's a huge chiddush. Even though people don't like to climb up verticals, you have to be a monkey to do it. It's really difficult, right? You want the ladder always to be on some sort of 45 degree, 25 degree, whatever the angle is, but on some sort of angle, so it makes it easier. No, it's still mimayet. Gemara, this is how I learned it. V'lo yadanu my taima.
The 2 season also, Eli?
What's that?
Would Rav say that about the 2 season, that they don't have to be, that they can be
Well,
one on top of the other as well?
the Gemara never said that it's like in the picture that the zizin are like that. That was a nice picture. All they said in the Gemara, it shouldn't be directly above each other, but if it's like just one next to each other, why not? So that's pretty much a vertical. So I don't know. I would say probably yes. I don't know. In Rav for sure would say it's okay. You mean the other guys? If the other people agree to that?
In Rav, it's clear that he would say one ziz on top of the other would be enough.
Oh, you're asking ziz. That's in a second. Yeah, that's in a second. We're going to get to that. Yes. Hold on. We're getting there. Says the Gemara v'lo yadanu my taima. I don't know why. Omar Shmuel. Now Shmuel, who argues with Rav, he's just explaining. He's a very nice person, Shmuel. He says, let me explain to you what you don't understand. In your svara, I don't agree with it, but let me give you a svara. Rav, you don't know the reason? That's what you were saying, Noam. Basically, here's vertical on top of vertical, which we had yesterday. Here's a box and another, but they're vertical, and they're considered one, even though they're very difficult to climb up. The Gemara considers it one, so you, Rav, also consider it one. This is like itztaba gabe itztaba, no? Same thing. This is, it is itztaba gabe itztaba. But it's like ziz, that's what you're asking about, ziz gabe ziz. Omer Rabbi Omer Bechia. The kolim shebebavel. I don't know, I might be dreaming. I remember going into Rabbi Aaron Leib Shteinman's house years ago and seeing a trunk of a tree in his dining room. Does anybody recall that? It's just my wild imagination. I remember like a round trunk, no back, nothing, no legs, just a trunk of a tree by the dining room table. Somebody remembers that, let me know. And that's what we're talking about here, just a piece of trunk, just like this. These are palm trees cut down. If this is what you put next to your fence, this will reduce the fence. Why? They're so heavy, no one is moving them away to the side. And in like we had the other day, 2 types of sulamis, the mitzri. So over here, the Bavli ladder is so it's so heavy that you don't have to be kaveh, you don't have to hammer it in. You can, since it's so heavy, nobody's moving it. It becomes a kavudik piece, and it's memayet the wall. My time, kveiden kavaton, which is a svara that we had yesterday. Says the Gemara, Mando Amar Sulama is kolshkin the column. If you say a ladder which is lighter than a heavy bark of a tree, kolshkin column, certainly a palm tree, nobody's going to move that. Umandom the column, and whoever says a palm tree, Sulama is light, because those are heavier. Ladders, perhaps you might come to move, so it's not considered kvios. Sulam mikan, the sulam mikan.
Which type of sulam, right?
What? What do you say?
It wouldn't matter which type of sulam either, whether it's a mitri like we learned.
I think that the Bavel sulam is a type of a sulam. So it's more like the, what was it, Tsuri, whatever the name was over there. I think that's a sulam shabavel. It's a type.
It says kveiden kavaton, sir.
Yeah, it has to be something. In an American ladder, whatever that means, it's a Bavel ladder. So it's a type of a ladder that has a certain amount of steps. We learned 3 steps versus 4 steps. So maybe it has 3 steps, but it weighs 100 pounds. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a Bavel ladder. So you need to have 4 tfachim to make it a sulam. That's what we learned. What if you put straw, literally straw in the middle? So when I was learning the Gemara, I didn't understand what's going on. Straw, what? So put toilet paper in the middle. Obviously that's not a sulam. Rashi says, it's like the last words on the page, he says that the straw you could grab onto. It's grabbable. That yes, it's something. But it's not to put your foot on it. So Memela, here are the 2 types of ladders. Here you have a ladder and straw in the center. So the Gemara is going to tell us this is no good, because where do you put your feet on the straw? The straw is not strong enough to hold your body weight. It's good enough in this ladder right over here, where you're putting your feet in the center, and the added tfachim over here, give it a 4 tefach width. And what are you going to do with this? You're going to hold on with your hands. So it's part of the ladder, just you don't need it to hold your body weight. That's a good ladder. So the Gemara, sulam mikan v'sulam mikan v'kashim be'emtza ma'u amar lei ein kaf haregel oilo b'em. You can't put your body weight on it. Kashim mikan v'kashim mikan v'sulam be'emtza. What if there's 2 ladders on the side, but the straw is on the side and the ladder is in the middle? Sulam be'emtza ma'u amar lei harei kaf haregel oilo b'em. It's perfect. Oy, I forgot to. Okay. In memory of my mother, Shein Lulbat Aaron Hirsch, and bracha by her son, Dr. Alan Listhouse. And let's see if I get this right. I forgot. I got an email this morning that I mispronounced it. Let's see. Sponsored by the Austin and Tobias. Okay, I have to do it again. I apologize. Not Tobias, but Tobias, I think. Tobias, grandchildren. Little Nishnas, our Bubby, Zissel Bas Chaim, who was nifter at the age of 98. Gimel Mar Cheshvan. Gewaldig. All right, new case, Daf Ein Ches Amud Beis. Here are 2 cases. You have a ladder. The ladder is not 4 tefachim wide. So what does he do? He goes and he carves within the wall 4 tefachim, but he doesn't go all the way to the top. Says the Gemara, Chokak lahashlim bakoisel, and he's using a ladder, so he's doing 2 things. He's carving into the wall and a ladder. Bekama, amarlei ba'asara. Very interesting halacha. As long as I get to 10 tefachim height, that's enough. Why? Because now it's a Pesach. We could go into the next chatzar. Together with the ladder, I could climb to the top. But I need a combination of 2 things. First, I'm doing a Pesach opening, and also I could get to the top. Whereas the next case, this case right over here, where there's no ladder at all, but he did nice 4 tefach carvings into the wall. It has to go entire wall. Why do we say that in this case you need 4 tefachim throughout the entire wall, In this case, only 10 tvachim. Says the Gemara, Hasa mistalikle, Hacha loy mistalikle. Over here, he could climb up the ladder. The only problem is that he doesn't have any 4 tfachim. So I give you 10 tfachim worth of 4 tfachim. 4 tfachim width by 10 tfachim height. That's your opening. Over here, it's very, very difficult to climb. And therefore, I need to give the entire carving a 4 tefach width. Ignore my nice cartoon here. What if, you know what, I'm going to do this. Why not? I don't want to show you my cartoon yet. A guy makes a tree. He has a tree right next to a wall. Now, what's the problem with the tree? The problem with the tree is that you can't really climb a tree on Shabbos.
Really?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Everybody's asking over here, or a few people are asking that.
Are we-
That it has to be angled off the wall. How is carving it into the wall going to help?
Yeah, no. Are you saying in general you have to angle? No, we're asking how tall does who says that every ladder has to be on an angle? A ladder has to be 14. I don't think it has to be on an angle.
So this is only working in Shitas Prat? Ilam's holding now.
The item is holding. And what is I'm trying to infer from that. Does that mean that I'm not holding? Let's see. Do you have to dafka have, if you have a ladder that goes from top to bottom, even Rav saying, time out. Rav said that it never got to the top. The vertical never got to the top. A ladder that goes vertical, I don't know that there's a big, you have to have a thing. I don't know. Rav was saying in a vertical that's 3 tvachim less.
Look at the first place.
Oh, here he goes. I woke him up. Lamaisa, I woke him up is good.
That's right.
Yeah, but Tais is a different thing. Tais is saying something else. We're not going with Shitas Tais. Tais says that there's an angle on the wall, that the wall is angled, that it goes, it's like steps.
To the end.
Yeah, but we're not going. Rashi doesn't go like that.
The Sulam Zakuf Einam Mait.
Well, it's Shuba. The Rashi doesn't go like that. The Bidin Shalish is Mashu. I know, but Rashi doesn't go like that. Rashi, that's Tais's Shita. So I don't know. Maybe Rashi goes like it's according to Rav. I hear. Yeah. That's Tais's Shita. Tais says that the whole thing is on an angle. It's like steps. It's a different thing. I don't have a picture of that. But in the Kol Shon, you'll see a nice picture if you want. I hear. Good. The Olam is doing great. Shkoyach. All have to be invited exactly how this goes. All right. That's what we're holding? Yeah. What if the tree is a ladder? The famous sugi that we had, are you allowed to put the Eruv Tchumim on a tree? And we said because it's there, Ben Hashmasha, is according to Rebbe, it's okay. As long as Ben Hashmasha, there's no Isser Shvus Ben Hashmasha. The whole Isser to climb a tree on Shabbos, you might come to break off a branch, which is Asr, but that's only Isser the Rabbanon. Isser the Rabbanon during Ben Hashmasha is okay. So when it comes to Tchum, the Eruv Tchumim just has to be there during Ben Hashmasha, and therefore according to Rebbe it's okay, according to Rabbanon it's no good. Tibai the Rebbe, Tibai the Rabbanon. This is a different case. Why? Tibai the Rebbe, Atkan like Homar Rebbe Hasam, called over Shuhu Mishum Shvuz, like Gazra Olav, over there, Hanamili Bein Hashmashes. That's over there by Tchum, where it has to be Bein Hashmashes. What happens to the Eruv a minute after Bein Hashmashes, after nightfall, an animal comes and eats your Eruv Tchumim, you're good to go. As long as one moment during Bein Hashmashes you had an Eruv there. Aval Kule Yoim Eloi. But over here, we're talking about a Eruv Chatzeres. And you have to be able to carry from Chatzer to Chatzer. It's not about what you could do Ben Hashmash. It's about what you could do on Shabbos itself. And Shabbos itself, you cannot use the tree. Listen to this svara. And why don't we always say it? I'm not 100% sure. At the end of the day, It's a true opening. Va'aryehu derevi alei. Here. Oh, back to the safari. So what's going on here? This is a good tree. This is a good Pesach. It's a good opening. And by the way, I forgot to mention, but it was obvious. We jumped to Eruv now. We're in Eruv. We're not talking about using the top of the wall. We're talking about connecting the two chatzeros. So I physically have a way to go from here to here. Just what? There's a lion on the bottom. Let's say physically if there was a lion. I'm not going to go up a tree that there's a lion on the bottom. So over here, Rabbanan are the lion. They said you can't go up the tree. They put a halacha there. It's like if I have a door, I just can't open up the door because there's an alarm, let's say. I don't want to be over, the alarm is going to go off. Have a good Pesach. Just, there's a halacha that's preventing me from going through. So, I don't know. Sometimes we don't use this svara, but over here the Gemara seems to be using it. Aryehu derevi alei. Okay, fine. So, perhaps it's a good opening, just as a Issa D'Rabbanan that's preventing me from using it. But in terms of a physical opening, it's a physical opening because I have a tree, I have a ladder. Just what? You're not allowed to use that kind of ladder on Shabbos. So what? Let's take it to the next step. What if there's a tree that was from Avodah Zarah, a city of Avodah Zarah, you have to burn it. It's mamish ketuse mechtashur, like forget about those halachas, but it's like it's gone. You're not allowed to have anah from it. Mau. Tibayr Rabbi Yehuda, Tibayr Rabbanan. Once again, you have here a shaila and Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanan. What was the machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan? Can you place your eruv? It's in the beginning of the Masechta. Can you place your eruv on a gravesite, on a caver? So what's the shaila over there? The shaila over there, if you remember, the whole eruv tchumim is only for a mitzvah. Mitzvah, the dvar mitzvah. That's why you do tchum. So mitzvah is lav lehenos nidnu. You just have to be able to place it there for a moment, and that's it. Masha'ekin, when it comes to a chatzar, eruv chatzeros, is not a mitzvah. I want to be able to carry it to my neighbor to me. So I'm constantly benefiting from it, a personal benefit. So I can't blame it on a mitzvah. So Tibayl Rabbanan, Tibayl Rabbi Yehuda, Tibayl Rabbanan. Tibayl Rabbi Yehuda, Atkan loy kamer Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that you're allowed to place a erev tchumen on a grave. Hasam the mutaliknois bayis bisurana, ela hasam the basa the kanale erev leinichale delintar. Over there, all you need is a moment that should be considered your house, that grave. But afterwards, I don't care. I don't need the grave to watch my erev. Let somebody come and take it. Oidilma afilu l'Rabbanan pischohu. Once again, this is considered a good opening. It's a tree that I could climb. Just what? It's asur bahana. Same kind of svara. Over here, it's another. The lion is preventing me. The Rabbanan are preventing me from going up the tree, but it's a real good opening. Amarlei. Elon mutar v'ashera asura. Yes, you could do the tree, but you can't do the ashera. Why exactly? Maybe because of the Isra no, that you can't use it at all. Maskiv lo Rav Chizda. Adrabah. I don't understand what you're saying, says Rav Chizda. Elon she Isra Shabbos gorim loy. When it comes to a tree, there's within Shabbos. I'm trying to make an eruv for Shabbos, and there's an Isra of Shabbos on the tree, nitzar. So that should be asur. Ashera, Shisu Dovar Acher Gorim Loi, it has no connection to Shabbos. The Isser is from an Isser of Avodah Zarah of Isra Hana, Leinitzar. That shouldn't ruin it for us. In fact, Itmar Nami, we learned in a Brayz, Kiyasa Rovin, Kiyasa Rovin, Omer Rebbe Loza, Rami Lo Revo, Omer Rebbe Yochanan, Kol She'Isser Shabbos Gorim Loi, anything that the Isser comes from Shabbos, like climbing a tree in Shabbos, is Asur. Kol She'Isser Dovar Acher Gorim Loi, like the Asherah tree, Mutter. Renachmin bar Yitzchak Masne Hachi, Elon plukta the Rebbe V'Rabbanan. So when it comes to trees, so we have the old Shiloh, whether you're allowed to put an erev tchumim in a tree or not. So that's the same Shiloh over here. So Rebbe would say it's okay, Rabbanan would say it's awesome. Asherah plukta the Rebbe V'Rabbanan. And when it comes to Asherah tree, the same machlokes that we have. Could you place an erev tchumim on a grave? Rebbe Yehuda says you can. So hold, you're allowed to use an Asherah tree. It's just very interesting. I just want to point out a very interesting shaila. The Gemara says before that Asherah is Dover Acher Goyrim, right? Asherah tree, it's the Avodah Zarah that causes it. But wait a minute, an Asherah tree is a tree. and you're not allowed to climb a tree on Shabbos. So a Asherah tree has a double problem. Why is a Asherah tree different than any other tree? You're saying a regular tree, the Gemara says, a regular tree has an Isser to climb on it, Isser Shabbos. The Rabban said, don't climb a tree. But an Asherah tree has a separate Isser, nothing to do with Shabbos. It's called Avodah Zarah. But you're not allowed to climb it because it's Shabbos. So therefore, they come up with a major doichak, the Rishonim, that we're talking about a tree that's cut off the ground. It's not even attached to the ground. Otherwise, it's very hard to understand. Says the Mishnah, Charetz shebein shtei chatzeros, omeik asara v'roichav daled. So, like in the other Mishnah, we had a wall that is 4 tefachim wide, 10 tefachim tall. I just want to point that again. I mentioned it. I want to point that again. That wasn't the halacha that the wall has to be 4 tefachim wide. That was because of the sefer in the Mishnah that they put fruit on top of the wall. What do? It's considered its own makom. But a wall doesn't have to be 4 tefachim wide. A wall could be 2 tefachim wide. It's still a mechitza. If I have a metal sheet going right through my backyard, I'm not connected to my neighbor, even if it's 1 inch wide. But when it comes to a charetz, Rashi points out right away, when it comes to a ditch in the ground, you need it to be 4 tefachim wide. Why? Because otherwise I'll step right over it. It doesn't create a mechitza between the two chatzeros. Okay, so you have a ditch that's 4 tefachim wide and 10 tefachim deep. Ma'arvim shnayim ve'ma'arvim echad, that's a great separation. It creates a hefsek, and now the yards are considered 2, so you have to make 2 eruvim, and you're not allowed to make 1 eruv. Afilu malikash, what if you fill up this? I have a picture somewhere, it's going to get for later. What if you filled up this ditch full of straw? Garnished. Afilu malikash, oiteven, because that's not mevatalit. I am going to remove this straw even on Shabbos. It's not muktzah. We're not talking about the straw that we were talking about yesterday, that he needs it for cement. He needs it for his animals. I'm going to remove it. So it's not a bittul. It doesn't fill up the hole. Mali offer its roirois, but if instead of putting straw in the ditch, you put dirt, that's like in our days as well. You fill up, the ditch is meant to be filled up, like the Gemara is going to say as far later. Once you fill it up, now these yards become 1, the chatzeros become 1, it's 1 eruv, and you're not allowed to do 2 eruvim. Even if you want to make 2 eruvim, it's 1 giant open area. Nasan olav neser, but what if you put, like in this picture, he put a plank of wood. Nasan olav neser shorochav arba tfachim v'chein shtei gzuz terois zu keneged zu, or if he has two balconies. This is a picture of 2 balconies on 2 sides of Rosh Hashanah, and even on one side of Rosh Hashanah, some Rishonim learn this way, some Rishonim learn this way. The bottom line is, it goes from porch to porch, from balcony to balcony with a piece of wood. And we're going to see in the Gemara, what if they're not exactly directly straight from each other? What if one is slightly higher? That's tomorrow. You could connect it, they can be considered connected over here and over here, or they can be considered 1 or 2. But if it's less than 4 tefachim, the piece of wood, ma'arvim shnayim ve'ein ma'arvin echad. Let's just do 1 or 2 more lines here. So yeah, let's go. V'teven lechayitz. What do you mean? If you fill up the ditch with straw, that's not considered a mechitza, like you filled up the ditch. V'anant nan mat bein shebein. Here's a picture. What if you have a wall literally made out of straw? Mat bein shebein shtei chatzeros gavaya, so it's 10 tefachim tall. Ma'arvim shnayim ve'ma'arvim echad. It's a beautiful mechitza. What do I care if the mechitza is made out of brick or it's made out of straw? It's there to stay. It creates a division between the 2 chatzeros. Omar Abaya, very simple. Linya mechitza kuli amaloi pligi dahav mechitza. I can make a wall out of any material I want, even out of straw. Avliin chatzitza, but to fill up a ditch, and that it should be considered as if it's completely full, sosum, says Rashi, ibatli chayitz v'loi batli loi chayitz. If you say, I'm never going to remove the straw for life, then okay, then I'll fill it up. But if you don't say so, then it didn't fill up the pit, And memela, it's not considered a full pit. It's considered as if you have a chatzar with a ditch between the two chatzeres, and it creates a division. But a wall is always a wall, no matter what material you use. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Shkoyach Noam, Shkoyach Menachem.